Did a video a year or two ago on why Patrick Mahomes was overlooked in high school, and this one is sort of a part 2 to that. We're going to go through every single quarterback ranked higher than him in high school. Yes, these guys were once considered better than Patrick Mahomes. We'll also talk about what in the world has happened to them since then. And by the way, we're using 24/7 Sports rankings for this video. First up, we have our number 1 rated player in Kyle Allen, who originally played at Texas A&M before eventually transferring to Houston. Even though he was a 5-star recruit out of high school, he went undrafted and signed with the Panthers. Since then, he's been a backup in Washington, Houston, and now Buffalo. Number 2, Keller Chris started for some talented Stanford teams. He then grad transferred to Tennessee and then tried out for a few NFL teams. After that, he played in the Spring League and then coached under his uncle Paul Chryst at Wisconsin. It's likely that Keller will continue his coaching career elsewhere after Paul was fired mid-season in 2022. Number 3, we have David Cornwell, who was once called the future of Alabama football. Obviously, he never got going there and made his way to Nevada and then Division II East Central. He tried the Spring League as well and nothing ever came of it. Number 4, Will Grier. He started 5 games at Florida before being suspended for PEDs. He then made a name for himself at West Virginia and was drafted in the 3rd round of the 2019 draft by the Panthers. Presently, he's 3rd on the Cowboys depth chart. At 5, Northwestern's all-time passing leader Clayton Thorson. He was drafted by the Eagles in the 5th round and spent some time with the Cowboys and Giants. In 2022, he started several games in the USFL. Number 6, Gerard Hurd. He had an up and down time starting for Texas. Eventually, he suffered a shoulder injury and transitioned to wide receiver. He was selected in the 2020 XFL draft and played in the Indoor Football League for 2 years. 7, we finally have a successful NFL quarterback in Deshaun Watson, who won a national championship at Clemson, was taken 2 picks behind Mahomes in the 2017 draft at number 12. He's been named to 3 Pro Bowls, had a massive scandal, and an underwhelming year for the Browns in 2022. Next, Sean White played at Auburn for a few years, but was dismissed after a public intoxication arrest and is now out of football. At 9, Jacob Park played at Iowa State for 2 years before taking a medical leave of absence. 10, Brad Kaya had a successful career at Miami and was drafted by the Lions in the 6th round of the 2017 draft. He bounced around the league for a bit and is now out of the NFL. Brandon Harris once started at LSU, then transferred to North Carolina, and now is the director of recruiting at Texas. Next, both Drew Barker and DJ Gillens had unsuccessful college careers, but Gillens is now an assistant coach at Long Island University. At 14, Deshaun Kaiser started for 2 years at Notre Dame and is one of the more accomplished college quarterbacks so far on this list. The Browns bought in and took him in the 2nd round of the 2017 draft. After declaring himself to have the mind of Tom Brady and the body of Cam Newton, Kaiser started his rookie year and the Browns went 0-16. 1 year later, he was traded to the Packers as a backup. In 2021, he spent the summer with the Titans, but couldn't make the team. Next, KJ Carter-Samuels didn't play much at Washington, so he went to Colorado State. And now, this one's kind of cool. He plays pro football in Germany, and he won the German Bowl Championship MVP. 16, Jalen McClendon. Even though he could never win a job in college, he still got looks from NFL teams and was selected in the 2023 XFL draft. Next, both Morgan Mihalik and Justice Hansen committed to play at big schools, but transferred to get more playing time. Hansen had success at Arkansas State and ended up playing in the Canadian Football League and Polish League. 19, Rafe Peavy went from Arkansas to SMU to Florida Atlantic. And Caleb Henderson and William Crest both had disappointing college careers, but turned to coaching instead. JJ Cosentino was a backup at Florida State, but eventually left the program and football. 23, Canadian Michael O'Connor redshirted a year at Penn State, then transferred to the University of British Columbia, and was drafted into the Canadian Football League, where he's now played for several years. Andrew Ford started 3 years at UMass and is now a scouting assistant for the Arizona Cardinals. At 25, Will Ulmer is another player who switched to wide receiver in college, and Chris Durkin switched to tight end. Now we finally have another NFL quarterback. You probably would have laughed if I had told you before this that Mason Rudolph ranked higher than Mahomes, but after going through all those names, you can see just how amazing of an outlier Rudolph became. He started 3 successful years at Oklahoma State and was taken by the Steelers in the 3rd round of the 2018 draft, where he started at least 1 game for 3 straight years. Schuler Bentley played in the FCS and is now a coaching assistant. 29 now, Manny Wilkins started at Arizona State for 3 years. He signed with the Packers as an undrafted free agent in 2019, and after being released in 2020, he decided to pursue a music career. This year, though, he was signed by the St. Louis Battlehawks to play in the XFL. Jalen Green committed to USC and then played at Utah State. He also made the change to wide receiver, something that's more common on this list than you probably would have thought. Next, Zach Darlington provided depth for Nebraska, then he decided to join the Army. Stephen Collier battled injuries during his time at Ohio State and decided to call it a career there. Reggie Bonifant played quarterback, wide receiver, and running back at Louisville, and that versatility got him signed as an undrafted free agent out of college. In 2019, he played behind Christian McCaffrey on the Panthers and scored an NFL touchdown. Today, he's on the Commanders' practice squad. Number 34, Quentin Flowers had some very productive years at South Florida and was inducted into the school's Hall of Fame. He stuck around at NFL training camps for a couple years before switching to the XFL. This year he's playing for the Orlando Guardians. Next, Peyton Bender played at Washington State and Kansas. Meanwhile, Wilton Spate started games at Michigan and UCLA. He was signed by the 49ers, but ultimately got cut right before his rookie season. Number 37, Trace McSorley started for 3 years straight at Penn State. The Ravens drafted him in the 6th round of the 2019 draft. So far in his career, he's backed up Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray, but has appeared in a game in 3 out of his 4 years in the league. Trayvon McMillan made waves out of high school as a dual-threat quarterback. Once at Virginia Tech, he switched to running back, and after a stint at Colorado, he signed with the Steelers as an undrafted free agent. Dominic McKenzie and Jarrett Hildreth struggled to find success in college and were quickly out of football. All the way to 41 now, Adam Burtkey sat at Pitt and eventually transferred down to D2. Chase Crouch started some games for Illinois and retired after his junior season. Aaron Sharp enrolled at UCLA, then eventually decided to play at the junior college level. David Blau had great success at Purdue, then signed with the Lions as an undrafted free agent. He started 7 games in his career, including 5 his rookie year, while filling in for Matt Stafford. This past year, he played in 2 games for the Cardinals. Jaquan Davidson lasted 2 years at Pitt before switching to the FCS. And finally, we have our last player ranked ahead of Mahomes. Number 46, Foster Sawyer, spent 3 years at TCU before transferring to Stephen F. Austin in the FCS. So if you tally all that up, we have several coaches, some Canadian Football League players, some guys playing overseas in Europe, a music career, and very, very few current NFL players. That should serve as a reminder on how crazy it is to not only make the league, but be able to survive in it. Guys like Mason Rudolph and David Blau, although nowhere near the caliber of Mahomes, they're still big outliers on a list of the most talented players in the country coming out of high school. It just shows us how incredible it is to even make an NFL team. If you'd like to learn more about why Mahomes was rated so lowly and ignored by most of the country's college scouts, then I suggest you check out the video I made on that topic. You can click it on your screen right now, and I'll link it in the description too. As always, thanks for watching.